Ta-da! All right, guys, for those of you joining us from YouTube, the Paranormal channel, from Paranormal Sarah, or from Astrology and Alchemy, welcome to Astrology and Alchemy with Paranormal Sarah and Matthew Slozer. It's wonderful to have you guys wherever you are joining us live from. Hopefully you are listening and tuning in down on Subspace, and you are checking out all the other amazing podcasts and streaming channels that are offered there. All sorts of specialty niches and things for you to listen to and download for free. So, welcome to Astrology and Alchemy with me, Paranormal Sarah. Matthew is going to be unable to join us tonight because he is doing business things, and I'm talking big bad voodoo daddy business things, which is always amazing, but we want to keep the stream going. We want to keep the show here for you. And because he and I are both toggling a lot of business transitions, guys, that is what the astrology is these days. That is some of these big Pluto shifts and these big alignments and things that we are experiencing. Some might say revolutionary. Some would say astrologically crazy. Some would say even alien or out of this world. We won't play on too many words tonight, but I will do my best to get you through the next 7 days. Okay? And then you can listen in on Subspace, download wherever your heart's content. Just tune in here on YouTube if you'd like, or follow me on paranormalsarah.com. And you'll see all the daily updates as well. We do it on social media. We're going to be continuously sharing these week after week. It's just 7 days. If you've never joined us here on the show before, get a piece of paper. Chime in on the chat room if you're able to. Let us know where you're joining in from, where you're tuning in from, where you're listening at. I am in northern Minnesota, don't you know? So it's a lot of mosquitoes outside. It's a lot of wild energy out there. But, you know, the weather's really nice and I can't complain. I don't want to complain. It's like a nice 82 degrees maybe. So I appreciate any of you guys joining us on your evening. I'm going to post this on Facebook because I know that there's a few of you out there in Facebook world that want to join us on YouTube. So let me put that chat out there and that link out there. Meanwhile, get a piece of paper. If you're new to the show, get a pen, get ready to make your predictions for the next 7 days. See how it pans out. What are going to be the good days for stocks, for communication, for relationships, for growth, for self-care, self-love? All the things that you're doing in your life. Join us now. Okay, there we go. I do apologize if you're listening. Usually I have Matt, my co-host here. He provides the more objective, masculine, sharp-witted, focused, scientific, definitely more streamlined point of view. I am the stereotypical kind of crazy, introspective, forensic psych shifting, gonna probably sing song my way into astrology as we go about this discussion. So Matt's not here to give me that great balance. God help you all if you're listening for the first time. Good to see you, Carson. Good to see you, John, Maddie, all of you in the chat. New and not new. Today's the 13th. If you didn't join us last week or you haven't been following on social media, shame on you, you naughty thing. But today you would have known that the moon is waning in Aries. So that is the shift in astrological movement for today. And because there's not a terribly significant movement happening for Wednesday, June 14th, unless one of you guys in the chat room is like, that's not true, I have a movement. Unless you have something listed in your Farmer's Almanac. I don't have anything more serious happening on the 14th than what we have happening on the kind of continuation from today. Hi, Brad. The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Tonight into tomorrow, you are going to see this energy. So what does this mean? Well, depending on your like specific birth chart, which don't forget, Matt and I are doing birth chart specials. Please reach out. I believe there's 2 more that I still have left to finish. It's been kind of difficult to touch base. But these are things that I want to get going for you guys. And these birth chart readings, when you line it up with what's going on in the astrology and alchemy on the outside, it's really, really helpful to kind of navigate, not manipulate, navigate life situations. So on the outside realm, you know that the moon is waning in Aries. The moon is really going to influence your feelings, guys, your feels, and waning, lessening, and heartache becoming smaller. The overthinking, the overfeeling, the planning becomes more and less heart, more head. So you're kind of able to get above some of the outbursts, the crying, if you've been feeling that. New sparks and bursts of energy to become assertive and to help build chemistry. And whatever passionate things that you are working on right now, whether it's relationship related or career related, that moving of the coals over the fire of what it is that you're building in your forge, it's really kicking up some heat and some sparks with this Aries fire energy. And that's going to continue to kind of be a point of focus for Wednesday as well, as we gear up for what Thursday has in mind. So Wednesday, no major astrological movements, but to keep in mind that you know the line between your heart and your brain. Often if we're working Reiki or chakra, or just come on, guys, you're looking at a body, at a cadaver. What is between your heart and your brain? Did it? It's not the Jeopardy theme. That's Jaws. It's your throat, your mouth, your big, beautiful, big, fat, blubbery mouth. So whether or not you need to keep your mouth shut or whether or not you need to talk it out or yell it out or any of that jazz, it is Gemini season. So the discussion is at hand. So then Thursday, one astrological movement is happening. So go ahead and put one dot on your piece of paper for Thursday. And that movement is going to be Mercury in Gemini. Yes, we see you, Mercury, squaring off with Saturn in Pisces. So what does that mean? This is usually when I would hand it off to Matt, and he gives this really great objective descriptor. But instead, you got me tonight, guys. Good luck. But Mercury, that is that throat chakra. That's your communication. That's the vibe, the going between your brain to your mouth and the brainstorm that you're generating. And so Mercury is in Gemini. It's one of its home spaces, Gemini and Virgo. It kind of splits. But Gemini it needs two perspectives. Gemini is two faces. Gemini can create with Mercury an anxious, nervous, flighty energy that's kind of, leaving us all the flight of the bumblebee, feeling a little gloomy, a little less emotional, but like stagnant as we worry about, gee, golly gosh, all this movement with Aries that's happening in my feelings and these sparks of cool things happening. But what if it's not real? What if it doesn't pan out? What if it doesn't work the way I want it to? What if they don't like my breath? What if the product falls apart? What if it just doesn't? Blah, blah, blah. And that is squaring off with like a geometric fight, if you will, or if we're playing music, a half step. Do not overtalk or overthink. Saturn in Pisces, that's the rules of the game, baby. Saturn in a water sign. So it's somebody washing off the rules, replaying the rules. Okay. Remember that this too shall pass. Wash the rules out. It doesn't necessarily mean don't get too attached or emotional about the changes that must now occur. The ritual suggestion would then kind of be endurance through hard times. Man, I am so sorry, guys. Again, when my spirit guides are speaking to me, hard times, that's one of my all-time favorite songs by Ray Charles. My mama told me, boom, 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 before she passed away. Do, 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 do. She said, son, when I'm gone, don't forget to pray. 'Cause there'll be hard times. Do you guys know that song? Oh, it's one of my favorites. Hard times. Whoa. And then I just hear it play in my brain. I really do. And so Carson in the chat room is saying this is like a swan dive. And I soon found out, burn, 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 just what she meant. Yes. I had to pawn my clothes just to pay my rent. Hard times. Man, I love that song. I love that song. I think the only cover you'll ever find of that song is Eric Clapton. Anyway, that's what we're feeling for Thursday. Okay. We'll go ahead and put that out there. And when I'm thinking Ray Charles, he talks about credit card debt in that song. He talks about rent. He talks about all sorts of things. And so sometimes when Spirit is talking to me and playing a specific song, it's not just completely triggered by the fact that I previously wrote Hard Times a month ago when I was doing this breakdown, but that now that it speaks to me in that way that I'm like, ooh, what could be lyrically synchronistic here? And I'll totally, after this, put that link here in the chat and be playing that on my speaker in the house as I do dishes. You better bet your bet. You better, you better, you bet. Man, there's some betting and some gambling going on here on Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and just put that out there. All right. Friday, we have one astrological dot. Get ready. Addiction. I got woman. I got a woman, Lord. She was always around. Until I lost my money. Oh, no. She couldn't be found. Man, I love that song. I love it. I love that song. Anyway, Friday, Mercury in Gemini still. Dang. Yeah, it's a fast little planet. It moves very quickly, but it's spinning. It's still in the constellation Gemini. So what do we know that means? That means that there's going to be a lot of talking, two perspectives. I need two sides of the story. Now it's your turn, Your Honor. Well, what did she say? Well, what did he say? Well, where'd you hear that from? There's going to be just kind of a lot of needing to validate, needing to verify, needing to, say it again, repeat yourself. And that's sextile to Venus and Leo. So that's kind of important because just like the word sex, when you see that in there, it's kind of a harmonious, it's kind of like a, hey. And Venus is already very much that. Venus is the planet of, women go to Venus, men go to Mars. Women in that stereotypical Venus vagina, feeling things out, sensuality, the receptive things, art, money, the give and take of what it is to be human. Venus, and that's in a sign of or constellation of Leo. So you've got people talking a lot, and there's a lot of things being discussed in harmony with art and sex and relationship, kind of in a very prideful, fiery ego space. So communication and discussion will be two-sided, well-winded, discussed and discussed again, repeated with many parties as it harmonizes with passionate waves of nurturing energy. The siren, like charm, will be discussed. Pride and ego, what makes us want to be alive, are all in the brainstorm discussion. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. This is a Friday. So people are going to be going out on dates. People are going to be, Carson says, am I talking too much? You might be. Everyone is a little bit in Gemini. The idea is that you're like, checking, is it? Am I on read? You're looking at your emails. Did I say the right thing? Or maybe you're avoiding the emails because you're wanting to wait until the information fully comes to you. So you're kind of waiting for more information until you talk. But the idea that discussion and communication is really key right now. And Gemini is an air sign. and communication is kind of an air energy. So you've got a windstorm in essence happening here. The NLP, so the neurolinguistic programming for any of you guys joining me in private mentorship, tone, volume. If you were to look at your mixing board of how you communicate and the tools that you have to describe how you communicate, not just the words that you use, but how you sing them, how you said them, all of it, it's going to be very, very, very important. Tone. That word is very, very key. So I just want you to keep that in mind for Friday. Definitely going to be a day to hear it. Say it. Do it. Baby. Do it. Ow. Ooh, what song is that? That's an R&B song. Just say it. Oh no. R&B song. Just say it. By Most Wanted. Ooh, I hope that's it. I don't know if it is or not. I'm going to be looking at that when I'm done too. Just so you guys know where my ADHD brain goes. It's crazy in there. All right, Saturday, two things are happening. And again, if you're new to the show, get a piece of paper and pen out. Maybe chat with yourself, text yourself. Take the time to write these things down in your journal. Really key to manifestation when people are like, I don't believe in all that witchcraft stuff. But yet then they see things panning out for me and other people that I work with. And you go, well, what's your magic? And I say a lot of it is understanding the chemistry and physics of potential energy to kinetic energy, that the importance of thinking something, saying something, moving your muscles in your body, and actually putting forth the behavior, whether it's, behavior analysis or CBD, TBD, DBD, DDD, all the algorithms and the anagrams, trying to just simply explain what it is to have a thought, to feel about that thought, then to talk about that thought, and then to put that thought into your behaviors. And so writing it down and predicting it, thinking about it, and giving yourself those moments to kind of, see what your intuition tells you is really important to growing those intuitive muscles. So Saturday, you're going to have 2 dots. The first one is this. Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces. Man, I felt a little David Bowie there. So this is Saturday. Saturn, that is the planet of rules. That's, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. That is, tell me what's going on. What are the rules and lines in the sand? What do I need to abide by? Tell me the way. Saturn is going to tell you. It's the DMV. It's going to say, get back in this line, dot your T's, have this form. And by the way, you're not going to make it in time. So just come back tomorrow. And don't forget to make an appointment. Saturn is kind of the quick trip. And they're specific about the way that they do things. And Saturn has been shifting since 2019 from one constellation to another. It's big, it's out there, it's moving. Think about that. Bans, mandates, rules, policies, regulations. Retrograde, quite literally meaning that if you go out into the sky, it may not be in the visual space when you've got 2 things moving together and then one is slightly pans out ahead of it, almost like it's pacing it. You have to turn your neck to look back at it. Do you know what I mean? So this is kind of one of those things that it's retrograde. So our ancestors that were going out into the sky, farmers' almanacs, mathematicians, and going, where is the god of the Saturn? Oh God, where is Saturn? Where's Saturn? Now, obviously, I'm going to play on this, but the idea, they're probably obviously not stupid. They knew that it was retrograde. But when you don't see it, when it's not there, when you don't have its visual representation of where and what and how and all the things, the idea is that you aren't getting the best direct information. So if it's retrograde, we got to turn our neck back to even get that information. This is about the rules, regulations, mandates, and way that things are going. Boundaries, retrograde, in a water sign. in Pisces in a constellation that would say, you're going to, all of us, experience personally, micro and macro, a significant change in the rules and the way that things function, the processes, the structure and boundaries in which they move. The fence line is going to shift. You are not going to see it happen. It will not be a visual thing, and it will be emotional. That's important. It's important to think about as a generalization. Often we get that in the psychic metaphysical realm. Well, that's just a generalization. Yeah. If you take Madame Lenormand's advice and all the Gestalt psychologists and mathematicians and Einsteins, and just pay attention. Everything can be generalized, but it can also be quite specific if you pay attention. Macro and micro rules are going to change. And it's going to be emotional, and you're not going to see it. That's really important to mention. Daggone, guys. Without a strict rules and regulations, the lines in the sand, that's what guides us. Saturn's inability to state the I's and the T's, that's not going to get wild. It's going to get dreamy. It's going to get starry-eyed. People are going to be like, I could do this. I could do that. I could move away. Gates and doors that once held you back, rules that kept you in, are going to go away. And now you are not held back. But try not to float away. Remember your focus and pay attention. I'm writing notes to those people who work with me privately, and for those 2 people in the chat who said, what? I want to do that. It's $111 a month. What? I know. I try to make more than that an hour, guys. I'm working on my doctorate, but come on. But that allows you and I to meet weekly for at least 15 minutes. It's usually about an hour. And that we touch base on specific things relative to your spiritual growth. It's usually a mental health related check-in as well. It's an application to what's going on the inside, reflective, but also outside, how to work with whatever magic or religion it is that you work with. So it's kind of fun. We have a community. I send out emails. You kind of get access to the more private tools that I use and just get in my newsletter kind of stuff. And that way, when I have emails, I put you in like a special email so that when I get a ton of emails every day, I can't respond to everything. And I don't. Sometimes I don't ever get to the bottom of that list. But if you pay me, yes, I prioritize you because that's how I eat and feed my children. So if you should decide to invest in yourself and in me and in our time together, that is what creates the time and space for us to do that. And so you can just private message me or find out more about that at www.paranormalsarah.com. And I do love doing that. And I only mentor a certain amount of people. And I really enjoy who the universe sends my way. So if that feels like it calls to you, let me know. Anyway, Saturday. This might be something that, say, for example, someone in the Gypsy tribe and I would talk about is, hey, checking in with you this week. Saturday, don't forget, Saturday is a new moon. It's a new moon in Gemini. It's the sign of the times. It's the sign that we're in. If you have any birthday people out there that are Gemini birthdays, please give them a happy birthday. This is a vibe. Saturday, it's a great day to start something new. Moon magic is all about feelings. Moon magic is a great opportunity to put water out for your plants, water out for your cleaning. You know, it's a cycle space that if you're moving with like the ovulation of mammals, of the women in your household every 28 days, if they're not on some significant form of birth control or something, then you have this natural cycle with the new moon and the full moon. And it allows you a natural alarm clock to, oh yeah, this is an area of focus. Gemini allows you to have really great talks with good friends, connection, listening, pen pals, touching base, email, sit down. This is the time to go through your mail. This is Gemini. This is reach out and touch faith. It's a great time to research a new topic, send your emails to all those networks, follow up with those business cards, make friends, say something in the coffee line. Come up with a new clever idea to have some fun this summer. Reach out, email people. Hey, I was thinking of coming to your B&B. I think I was thinking of maybe doing a vacation with you. Let me know. There's Matthew in the chat room. He's going to give us some advice if he can. He's letting us know, man, where he's at is top secret and the signal is not the best. But that new moon, put your stuff out and consider this a time to, okay, Sarah and all my psychic friends told me, and all the witches out there. So there's a good momentum of people, doing a big circle in the pool, getting a little wave pool going, that listen and use music. Create an adventure. Have a narrative. Gemini is about talking about it and brainstorming about it. Sit down on the porch, have a whiskey or a cigar or a smoke or a watermelon water. Gosh dang it, I've been loving the Welsh's watermelon juice. Watermelon! And just talk and listen and hear what the trees are telling you. See what messages you get. See what your spirit guides are in that space. Maybe Hugin and Mugen are going to bring you something on the wind. I don't know. But put your predictions, right? Carson, Julie, put your predictions in there for what you think is going to happen on Saturday. What news might you expect to hear? What things might you expect to have come your way as you do open and pay attention? Ooh, with pickle juice, dancing around a bonfire with pickle juice. That sounds great too. Some people in the chat room are already sharing some of their rituals. Now, you still, say you wake up on Sunday and you're like, shit, I forgot it was a new moon. Sarah told me to be dancing around with pickles and I didn't do it. It's okay. Those people out there, they talk about the gravitational pull, the tidal waves, the influence of the moon. The moon, we're still in the window and shadow of the moon's power. What does that mean? Give or take 24 days or so. Not 24 days, 24 hours. Give or take a day, a window. That this is a significant space for you to really feel that, to look up and go, oh, the sky is very, very dark. Animals that can't see well and function well are still hiding in their holes. Behaviorists everywhere kind of know what that means. The only people out there doing shit are those who are brave, confident, or stupid. It's a predatorial place in new moon. It's a great time to clean, purge, listen, and learn a ton about what's around you. Right, Chris? Welcome. But Sunday, you're going to wake up and there's one astrological thing happening. So go ahead and put a dot on your piece of paper and listen to your intuition tell you what to expect for this. This is the sun in Gemini squaring off with Neptune in Pisces. Ooh, I kind of like this energy aside from the Neptune in Pisces. If you guys listen in often, every week, Matt and I are usually here. Matt is out on business this week, but he and I share this space together and co-host. And it's really kind of interesting how we have our own particular likes and dislikes of certain astrological spaces. I work in social work. I work with forensic psychology. I work with sex offenders. I work in and out of corrections and psychiatric spaces and crisis de-escalation spaces. And I feel like when Neptune is in Pisces, forget about it. Neptune in Pisces is a very suicidal, overdoses, crisis, freak out. It's 13, 14-year-old girls in a locker room after a breakup, kind of a, oh my God. It's really dramatic. It feels like. And I would say it's probably because Neptune is a space that, it's the planet of water, water, water. I think of King Triton and how many 13 daughters, that poor man. And it's in Pisces. Oh! So that's Ursula. That's put something water in the water with the water king on a menstrual cycle when they're all on their period. Blah. So Neptune in Pisces is kind of a shit show of energy as far as I've often experienced it. But then you're like, okay, well, what kind of song is it playing? Maybe it's like Creep by Radiohead, which is a shit show song, but it's beautiful. Rest in Pieces by Saliva, great. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, man, these will give you goosebumps. These will give you emotional shit shows. If you're on, the right mushroom, that could ruin your life, these songs. They're very moving. So what else do we got going here? Who's playing the song? Well, it's the sun in Gemini. Oh, Well, the sun, this is a huge ball of fire, that's the center of our galaxy that, everything revolves around. Perfect. And it's in the sign of the times right now, which is Gemini, where we have a lot of planets in this constellation. This is all of their birthdays. The sun, you are my sunshine, the gimme, 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 the thing that's very, very important. So important, in fact, that if you have too much of it, it burns you to death. But you can't live without it. Your sun, if on your birth chart you're looking at your sun sign, these are usually like, your main sign that people identify as. So sun in Gemini, in this constellation that is going to be asking you to think about two sides of everything, pros and cons. And you can't believe everything that you hear, especially on Sunday. Misinformation, double talk, echoes, empty promises, leading to very embarrassing situations. Try to rest. Try to keep your immune system strong as the air is thick with energy out there wishing, washing around and people jumping off cliffs and doing craziness. Think about diffusing. Think about essential oils, perfumes, how to change an aura, change a space. If you have your own space and you're like, I want to create a good vibe here. I want when people walk in here that this is a space that they feel safe. That another sign of the times. Yeah. You hear it too. I hear that and I hear a sign, everywhere a sign. I hear like a cacophony of signs. I saw sign. I hear signs. I also hear not true. Not true. And I can tell you, working with UAP type stuff, pay attention to the signs and know which ones are true or not. Really be able to trust your smell, your eyes, your ears, and all of them together collaboratively, not just one, not just the other. And if in Gemini, two things say two different things, reconsider. Get a third option. Wait a little bit. Allow the variables to marinate. It's going to be pretty important, I think. Don't jump to conclusions. Not quite yet. So that's going to be the weekend. How that plays out, micro and macro. It's really fun for predictive spaces. And this is how psychics worldwide are doing it. And then you meditate on it. Maybe you take this privately into your own space. Maybe you talk about it over coffee like I do, which, by the way, I do all of the above. So statistically speaking, how many coincidences make a fact? I begin to see a pattern of both professional, non-professional, casual, strangers, people talking about certain things. I know that it's relevant. There's very little skepticism involved. And also, why doesn't it give me the lottery numbers? We're not talking about that. It's not how it works. It really doesn't. I wish it did. But it can, because pattern recognition is all about just being in the same frequency and mathematically allowing that to jive and work. So Monday, only one thing is happening. Monday. Put a dot on your piece of paper. Ooh. Monday, this is a significant thing. If Matt were here joining me, I'd be very interested in hearing what he has to say about this astrological movement, because this is rather, when I say big, you've got two big bad voodoo daddies moving together. So you've got, Chris Farley and Adam Sandler doing a skit together. This is Dumb and Dumber. You've got two stars of the show. So as you know, this could either go very, very well, Chris Tucker and, the guy that, gosh, I can't remember, Jackie Chan, who's doing the show with them. Or it could be a flop. Or it could just not work. Or is it a love story? Ooh, it could be a love story. This will depend on your birth chart. This will depend on the equation you've got going on in your life. But let's look at what Jupiter in Taurus sextile Saturn in Pisces. This aspect, so Jupiter is the big gas giant. He's my big Chris Farley. I love Jupiter. He's my big my Winnie the Pooh. Give me more honey. And Jupiter really has good intentions for whatever it's touching. It's lucky. It's me first in the gimme gimmies. It's everything is awesome. Jupiter is just woo all the time. But that's like, okay, is Jupiter on chocolate chip cookies? Is Jupiter on cocaine? Is Jupiter on Pabst beer? Like, what is Jupiter on? And Jupiter is in Taurus. Oh, well, Taurus is a very stubborn, cool, calm. All right, all right, all right. It's Jupiter hanging out with Matthew McConaughey. It's Dazed and Confused. Jupiter is hanging out with a strong, thinking, pretty powerful, overcoming things that get in your way, but not really caring about it. The Taurus bull, they're not going to move unless they're moving forward in a way that's harmonious. This is like shedding people, detoxing things, new aspects of yourself, and being kind of excited about that expansion. Like, fuck it, throw it out. I don't need it. Who cares? Sextile, so it's harmony. Harmony with Saturn, another big. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on. Ooh, it's Beyonce out there doing shit. Saturn and Pisces, retrograde also. So it's this idea that, okay, shoot, we've got that reminder that rules are changing. Rules are being washed away. Things aren't going to necessarily hold us back. Those lines in the sand, the tide has risen and they're not quite there anymore. So this is the ability that why we are still learning from the past and our recent issues in life. We are embracing a potential of our future ahead. Newness, despite how uncertain it might feel or look, there are other clues of it being healthy and worth the adventure. I'm going to say adventure because, I felt something in my nose. Sorry. Adventure because Jupiter, because Chris Farley, gimme. So that ritual suggestion for Monday, guys, is going to be a vision board. Give it some explanation, like that bull needing that red. And by the way, they, kind of argue about, is it color? No, it's probably just movement, shaking a big thing in front of that bull. That this is really important to have some movement, have some focus, have the dangling carrot, and know what the dangling carrot is for the movement of your goal. Is this entertaining? Is this determining the life and death of our people? Like, what is it that we're doing here? Because Jupiter doesn't necessarily care, but Saturn does. And Saturn wants to know what the rules are, but Saturn is over there being in the shower, really getting washed up and changing how it looks. So I feel like a head case when I overanalyze, says Brad in the chat. And that's exactly what overanalyzing is everything is in your head. So you either need to talk it out, let it out your mouth, or let that energy flow down and through, get it out, write it out, blog it out. Brad joining us is a sports writer and blogger out of Kansas City. And part of that overanalyzing, I think, is probably that you're very objective, or those masculine energies of seeing things outside of self and bringing it inward to think. My co-host Matthew, he oftentimes is analyzing things, over-analyzing it, but able to see patterns that make astrology really helpful to him and other people he works with, which is why I work with him. He's one of the best. So over-analyzing, if you can use it and catalyze it, it can be really helpful. If you get stuck over-analyzing, you could have an anxious disorder and you could start having like general anxiety breakdowns, panic attacks. Carson says, climbing that mountain. Climbing that mountain. Ain't no mountain high enough. That's what makes when someone says mountain, I think of that song. Okay. Now there is one last thing happening. It's going to be Tuesday. And that brings us the full week around. And it's only one dot on that piece of papier, un feuille de papier. So we have Tuesday. And what is happening? Ooh, it's another moon thing. And that can't be right. So I've got to edit it. See, this is why I love doing the show. Because we just had a new moon, I know that that's waxing. So in the chat room, I put moon waning, change the N to an X. It's waxing. I know it is because you just had a new moon. So then what's happening next is it's beginning to build. And the moon will then be in the sign of Leo, constellation of Leo. Man, talk about feelings, fiery, going through a sign that is all about ego and pride, feelings maximizing, growing within. So let me put that. Feelings growing over the ego. Passion and drive is starting to become a burning fuel rather than a raging fire. Keep the inner control burning. Allow feelings to fuel. I always spell fuel wrong. Fuel your catalyst of change. Go ahead and let it tip you over that edge to have the roller coaster really move. The ritual suggestion is aloe vera magic, which is kind of interesting because this is this space that recently we've been very watery, or recently we may have been dehydrated, or recently we may have been burned, the sun and all of this expansion. Hi, Dolly. And so Dolly is sharing her predictions and how accurate that they've panned out to be. Aloe vera would suggest like plant magic, earth magic, which is, opposite of fire. You're allowing yourself to ground a little bit, thinking about things before you do them. So making sure you're not too crazy and impulsive. Hey, but then also the aloe vera is water too. It's hydrating, it's moisturizing. And again, depending on what kind of fire you have burning in your kitchen, water may or may not be the best thing to put down on that. So I think that's really exciting to be able to look at something and go, ooh, I think that this is going to work, or this isn't going to work, or this is going to make it better, or this is going to make it worse. And being able to heal and grow is really going to be key for the changes that are coming. Times are they are changing. So nurturing that creative side and giving yourself the opportunity to grow in a way that you want. Carson says, interesting, Sarah. Can you say that again? Ooh, what specifically are we saying again? And Dolly, yes, I need to nurture my creative side and lessen my offline info entering. Indeed, lots of crazy information swirling around. It's Gemini season. That's exactly what I expect in this time. So Dolly, as you're joining us, that's really been kind of the main theme is what information are you allowing to enter into your space? Are you finding those sources to be accurate? Is this information helpful? The accurate, relevant, and helpful are often the three ways that I'm measuring intuition when I work with people. If it's not accurate, relevant, or helpful, let it pass. Give it back to Mother Nature or wherever you recycle your energy to and move along, because someone else can use that or something else can use it. And if you're not driving a DeLorean that is catalyzing that stuff, then don't. Really be aware of the fuel and how you use energy in your space. So if you're not terribly familiar with that, even for yourself, if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Sarah, I don't know. What do you mean catalyze energy? For example, I'm a Virgo. In my birth chart, where it breaks down the day I was born, where all the planets were and what constellations they were, so that my body almost recognizes like a deja vu, like a little moment, that when the outside matches the inside imprint of the day I was born, when the sun is in Virgo or the moon is in Virgo, or those particular things that are also on my birth chart ring true in the outside realm, there's definitely a certain recognition that happens within the body. And so if you know someone's birth chart and you know the sign of the times, you can kind of align yourself with timing when they're going to have certain feelings or certain major changes or shifts. And for all of us, there's some big major shifts happening in the Saturn and Pluto realms. So I know psychically, but then also like just predictively, that that's going to be a bigger shift, a bigger movement. And of course, things that happen on a big space affect you on a little space. If we go through a depression or a world war, it's going to affect us all. So you can kind of deduce backwards from that and see how big or small the movements are as they happen. So, Carson, Dolly, John, all of you guys joining me, I want to thank you very, very much. We got through the end of that 7 days pretty easily because there wasn't a lot of astrological movement. Some weeks we have so many we can't even handle it, and nor can we get through it in under an hour. And then some days it's just, man, it's really easy and it just goes through very smoothly. In which case, we have a little bit of extra time here. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always open for questions, for frequently asked questions, or those of you in the chat room who have anything left unsaid. And also be sure and tune in to Subspace and listen to Odyssey Radio, all of those downloads on our YouTube and on our social media. You guys, they're free to check out. There's some really cool stuff to explore, some really fun programming. I'm hoping to have more things on that myself, things that you guys can check out. Maybe you're just on YouTube. Maybe you're just on my Facebook. Maybe you're just on paranormalsarah.com watching live. We appreciate you. I appreciate your support. It really means a lot. Carson says, so great. You are not having a panic attack like last time. I know, right? Last week I was out of town in a hotel having a panic attack. I had gotten a speeding ticket that morning. Not a speeding ticket, a ticket for the registration on my car was expired. And the officer was kind of weird. He said some things to me during that stop that were kind of strange. Like he offered to strip search me and take everything out of my car and tow my vehicle and take me to jail. And like, it was really weird. But yeah, I feel like sometimes when I'm away from my children or I'm away from home, or I feel like my transportation isn't safe, or I'm unsure of what to expect. The very next day, I was going to be doing a big conference in Minnesota's largest prison and having hundreds of offenders walking by and getting the opportunity to talk with people through a transitions fair about their space and their time in prison. And so I just wasn't entirely sure what to expect from that experience. And all of it cumulatively put me into a spiral. So if you are someone who struggles with anxiety like I do from time to time, and you want to see what it looks like live when someone else is having a panic attack, you can watch last week's session. You can go back through our YouTube or through the podcast, and you can probably hear it in my voice. And you can see it. I have no color in my face. I'm like sweating, crying, biting my fingernails, pacing, all of it. It's beautiful. But the point is that you guys still listen and you still chime in. And I always find it important, man, if I can, I show up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best. I have feelings about not being 100%. My perfectionism definitely plays a toll in that. But being able to still engage makes me feel accomplished and allows me to kind of get out of that negative space and be distracted long enough to get my central nervous system back in order. Dolly shared, is there a formula to you putting certain words in caps? It's been my puzzle that I cannot solve. I do. So I do have a certain formula for the words that I put in caps. And usually, so if you are someone who works with me privately, neurolinguistic programming is something that we do often. And for example, this last week, we were doing tame. So going through specific words, describing them, breaking them down, applying them to earth, water, air, fire, whatever rituals or belief systems you have in place. And then also, I work with different organizations and alumni, and we share information between each other. And on my social media, for sure, things will be in cap throughout the week that become stories. And that's a big way that I use social media, because I want people to know that it can be used as much as it is using you. And I like to see who pays attention and who figures things out. I like to see how it affects and influences certain responses. And everything I do on social media, I absolutely try to have an intention and for it to be something that can be useful to me. And so I appreciate that, Dolly. And yeah, if you are someone who joins me and is a part of my astrological newsletter that goes out, particular words will be in caps. They are absolutely relevant to what's going on in that space, and just for people to look at and to really pay attention to. I'm going to go back through maybe one of the words that was important a few weeks back or a week back. Put to rest, or ship, who is on your ship, and kind of paying attention to relationship and certain parts of that word that are capitalized. So very, very important. Get your kids dressed, imagining exploring your PA to the attendant at the ER. Next attack. Right. It's panic attacks, really, they just kind of hit you at any point in time, and it is just something that I try and get through instead of around or avoiding it, as oftentimes we do, because it's a certain energy that's stirring. If we avoid it and don't let it out or get it through us, it oftentimes repeats and comes back, and sometimes with more momentum. And I've tried not to let that happen. So that decompressing is really important as it happens. As it happens. Sometimes, if you're in the middle of the checkout line, you got to do it. But yeah. So much better tonight. I do wish Matt was here joining us. You guys, we are going to be back next week on Tuesday, same time, same place, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here. Don't forget to check out more on Subspace, check out Odyssey Radio, all the places that you're listening and downloading your favorite podcasts. And if you guys want a private reading, if you want to learn more about the mentoring, if you want to check out all the cool stuff at my shop, paranormalsarah.com is up. And man, if you've been watching on my social media, my car catastrophes. Like Brad trying to get to Kansas City for our high school reunion. Man, I got to get my car working. So I feel like any and all opportunities to do readings, guys, if there's something you want or you're interested in, or even a gift to give, let me know. We will work something out. I would love to be able to make that happen for you. And you guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. Please feel free to download this, share it with your friends, share it with people who you think might find it useful to plan and predict and to strengthen your own intuition. And then, of course, I look forward to seeing you here next week, every week, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, guys. So until then, have a great one. Bye-bye.